Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
And that crash takes us to Garner this morning, and the breaking news shutting down part of Highway 70 in both directions. What we know about this crash and some alternate routes to get around it.
Take a look at the rain that's showing up, especially in our southern counties, but it's likely to lift northward across the triangle for parts of the morning. I'll show you how it could affect your commute.
Supreme Court challenge, the arguments a federal court will hear today that could help finalize the results in the race for a seat that is still undecided.
And a super matchup that sounds very familiar. The Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs are heading for the big game as the Chiefs are looking for a three-peat. Will they be the first team to win 3 Super Bowls in a row? We will know February 9th. Good morning, everyone. It is 6 o'clock. First, let's get you through this Monday. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Yeah, great to have you along. Thanks for making us part of your routine. It is routine for the Chiefs, right? 3 years in a row with that. A replay of running it back from 2 years ago with the Eagles.
With the Eagles.
All right, lots to get to here today. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with those showers moving through our area.
A lot of this is down to the south. That's definitely where it's heaviest. You can see the yellow and orange shaded areas. And that's going to be Hoke County, Cumberland County, Sampson County. What we see in the triangle area is likely to be fairly light, but it is starting to lift a little farther north down here in the southern part of Wake County. We had a little shower roll through Wake County a little earlier this morning as well. But here's a look at Futurecast. Futurecast is showing between 6 and 7, more of that rain shifting northward. The farther north you go, the less that we're likely to see. And it will be with us during the morning. It starts to taper off closer to lunchtime. And then after that, we should be fairly dry during the afternoon. Just a few small chances of some showers that may roll through late in the afternoon or during the evening. We take a look here at Pinehurst. The rain is coming down. This is Pinehurst Resort and Country Club where it is wet right now. 42 degrees currently in the triangle, but we do have some 30s on the map. 39 Southern Pines and Fayetteville. It's 36 in Roxborough. But these temperatures are not likely to drop any farther, so there won't be anything frozen to deal with. Still, it's going to be a cool and wet day for us. Temperatures are just going to hold here in the 40s. Big changes, though, coming to our forecast. More sunshine, warmer temperatures. I'll show you when, Ken.
6:02, Elizabeth. We're staying on top of that breaking news down in Garner. A crash shutting down part of that roadway starting at New Rand Road right now in Garner. Let's get right to WR's Laura Levine, who's been on the scene since the crash happened this morning. Laura, what do you know and what's happening there now?
Well, drivers who typically take US 70 here in Garner, be prepared to turn around or have to find another way around. And here's why. That's because crews are on the scene right now in this section of Timber Drive and US 70, completely shut down in both directions after a crash that happened here earlier this morning. Garner police tells us that a driver traveling this route this morning, they had some type of vehicle malfunction, crashed into some utility poles that also knocked down some stoplights. You can probably see those flashing lights here from those vehicles. That's DOT trucks on the scene, as well as Duke Energy. They're making repairs at this time. We've seen those stoplights kind of scattered across the roads here. Around 4 o'clock this morning, when we arrived here at the scene, we did see that car get towed away this morning, the vehicle involved. The driver had to be taken to a local hospital. At this time, we're told they are expected to be okay. Garner police tell us that they don't expect any charges to be filed in this case, but here is the kicker. They're not expecting this road to reopen till at least 10 o'clock this morning, so we still have some ways to go. And even when this road reopens, the DOT tells us that you'll likely still see some crews out here making repairs throughout the day, Ken.
It's going to be a tough morning coming for anyone heading to the capital city there in Garner. Listen, your best bet, use East Garner Road or even I-40 as an alternate route coming into the capital city this morning. As we widen out the view for you this morning, nothing but green showing up on the map from Wendell to Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, all delay-free right now.
Thanks, Ken. Today, the next step in the challenge to the results for a seat on the state Supreme Court. WR's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from outside the state Supreme Court. Kelsey, a federal appeals court will consider Republican Jefferson Griffin's request to have tens of thousands of votes thrown out.
yes, Renee, what happens could put us one step closer to finding out who will be able to sit on the bench here at the state Supreme Court. We've been staying on top of the aftermath of this election for the past couple of months now. Republican Jefferson Griffin is challenging the November election results. This after he lost the race by 734 votes against Democratic incumbent Justice Allison Riggs. That result has been confirmed through multiple recounts. However, Griffin claims the state should have never counted more than 60,000 ballots. He's requesting to throw them out. Most of those ballots are from people who voted by mail, did early voting, or voted while overseas. Griffin claims the state can't verify these voters' identity. Democrats and even some Republican critics say there's no truth to that. The State Board of Elections also rejected Griffin's claim. North Carolina has a voter ID law which requires people to show an acceptable form of ID to vote, such as a state driver's license. Now, today is just the start of the trial in the federal appeals court. We likely won't be able to get a ruling today, but in the meantime, this case will go through the state court. So we'll be sure to stay on top of that and keep you updated. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Today, we'll get more information about what's being done to get lead out of 5 parks in Durham. East Durham Park, East End Park, Lyon, Northgate, and Walltown Parks all have lead in the soil. Today, Parks and Rec will share an update on analysis being done on that soil, the next steps they plan, and options moving forward to get all the parks reopened. The meeting is at 6 o'clock tonight at the Walltown Community Center.
People are showing their support after a shooting that left a Raleigh police officer in critical condition. They held a candlelight vigil last night at Renaissance Park. Raleigh police say first-class officer and Army veteran Max Gillick was shot during a home invasion last Tuesday. Authorities say the suspect, Antonio Rodriguez, also shot and killed John Rowe. Rodriguez was shot and killed by police. Organizers say the goal of last night's event was to pray for Officer Gillick, as well as remember Rowe.
Most people were paralyzed in some capacity, but this is one way that we know that can bring our residents together to show a little solidarity and support for the folks that have been lost and the officer in the hospital.
Raleigh Police Chief Estella Patterson asks for prayers for Officer Gillick as he recovers at Wake Med Hospital. People can send cards and well wishes to the Raleigh Police Department.
Coquette Restaurant is back open for the first time since the shooting that killed an employee there, and the community is showing its support. The restaurant in Raleigh's North Hills opened its doors last night, 9 days after the shooting that killed Jonathan Schaefer. A steady stream of customers entered the restaurant throughout the evening. Some who spoke to WRAL say they wanted to be there to help the restaurant recover. Coquette's owner, Kevin Jennings, was in the kitchen for the reopening. He says he's grateful for the support the community has shown.
We can't even put it into words, so I've gotten hundreds and hundreds of emails, texts, phone calls, offerings from the business community.
For now, Coquette is open for reservations only. Jennings says the victim of the shooting, Jonathan Schaefer, will be remembered, commemorated through a collage at the restaurant.
The stage is set for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. The Kansas City Chiefs will look to become the first team to win 3 Super Bowls in a row. They will play the Philadelphia Eagles in the big game on February 9th, and you'll be able to watch it on Fox 50. The Chiefs punched their ticket with the win over the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game. It was a back-and-forth game that was tied at 29 late in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs got a go-ahead field goal and then stopped the Bills from scoring again. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs got the win, 32-29.
Philadelphia Eagles put on quite a record-setting performance in the NFC Championship game. They scored 7 rushing touchdowns. This was their first play from scrimmage in this game. They won 55-23 over the Washington Commanders. The most any team has ever had, points-wise, in a playoff game in the Super Bowl era. The 55 points, also a record for a conference championship game. In less than 10 minutes, WRAL's Michelle McConaughey will join us with more of the post-game reaction from fans as the Chiefs and Eagles now prepare for the big game, Super Sunday.
Time is 6:08 here in the WRAL Live Center. I saw this and I just had to talk about it here. We're talking about the NASDAQ being down about 1,000 points here for the futures. And the same goes for the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 as well. Mostly this is coming from the tech sector here. So NVIDIA, ASML Holdings, and ASM International is taking a hit in that particular regard. Last week there was a company, a Chinese company in fact, called DeepSeek that released something in the AI world that is set to possibly rival that of OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT. So we'll be watching to see how this actually looks once the opening bell rings.
Chris, thanks. You have a chance to try some new places to eat this week or revisit your favorites. It's Triangle Restaurant Week. Dozens of restaurants in the community are taking part in the event today through Sunday. Each one will offer fixed 2 or 3 course meals for special discounted prices.
ICE raid misinformation. The social media posts reporting false immigration sightings in the Triangle and how to tell if they are real immigration law enforcement.
And concern over mudslides. Coming up, the next threat for Southern California as rain comes behind those tragic wildfires.
And we have some rain in our area this morning. Most of it's going to be down to the south. I'll let you know if it will affect your morning commute.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
6:13, taking a look at dual Doppler 5000 radar. You can see rain down in our southern counties and a little bit of this trying to sort of inch up toward the Triangle. Most of it is going to be, say, down around Sanford, Fayetteville, Clinton, back over towards Southern Pines. We'll zoom in here and you can see just a little bit of that rain from Pittsboro here to the southern part of Wake County. So it may lift briefly up as far north as, say, Rollsville and Durham, but most of it is going to be down to the south. 50 to 60% chance this morning, about a 30 to 40% chance later on this afternoon. So what to watch for? Mostly some light rain in the Triangle, some of that a little heavier the farther south you go, and some delays possible in some places. Ken's got a more serious closure to talk about, though, already. First, let's talk about temperatures, upper 30s to low 40s, so nothing frozen this morning, Ken.
Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We tell you about that road closure, this one, caused by a crash on Highway 70 in both directions right now, shutting down both directions there on Highway 70 as we widen out the view this morning. Many of you take Highway 70 as a route coming in and out of the capital city this morning. Your best bet really is West Garner Road or even Fayetteville Road for Highway 401 as an alternate route. But also around the Triangle and surrounding communities, all are major routes are delay-free at this hour. And when they're coming up in just a few minutes, some of those delay times coming into the capital city on our major routes.
We'll check in with you then. Ken, thank you. More news to tell you about. Immigration's enforcement operations arrested nearly 1,000 people across the country. It is the most arrests in a single day since President Trump was inaugurated last week. His border czar, Tom Homan, says raids in Chicago yesterday targeted people convicted of serious offenses, including murder and sex crimes. More than 2,600 people have been arrested since the inauguration. It's unclear how many of them have criminal histories or convictions.
Also with that, Renee, unverified social media reports of ICE raids are causing some uneasiness in communities around the Triangle. Leaders and organizations are warning about the dangers of misinformation, while some groups are taking action. Siembra NC is leading training sessions to provide accurate information and verify immigration sightings.
People who see a car or see a local police car, who then they mistake to be a federal agent or a federal Homeland Security agent. And that doesn't keep anybody safe when this fear is this heightened. We're not going to hide in the shadows. And so this is what this training was about. It was about talking about how to show up for each other, how to be observers, how to be witnesses to whatever's going to come our way.
Siembra NC plans to hold a virtual session on Zoom next week to accommodate more people who need help.
A scary situation as Philadelphia Eagles fans celebrated their team going to the Super Bowl. 3 people were hurt when a car drove into a crowd. Police say this happened around 9:30 last night. Video from the scene shows people being carried off on stretchers. Police say the driver is in custody, but this does not appear to have been intentional. Now, the people who were hurt are expected to be okay. The big game is 2 weeks away, and fans are getting ready to cheer their teams on. WRAL's Michelle McConaughey is here now with the march to the Super Bowl. Michelle.
It's all very exciting, Renee. After the Eagles cruised past the Commanders in the NFC Championship, the Chiefs outlasted the Bills in the AFC title game, giving both teams and their fans a lot to celebrate this morning. Fans of all ages flooded the streets of Philadelphia after their win. Streets surrounding City Hall were covered with Eagles fans after the final seconds of that game. The Eagles won their first and only Super Bowl back in 2018, so they're hoping to do it again next month. And what a party it was in Kansas City. Fans at Arrowhead Stadium, they celebrated with the Chiefs under a fireworks and confetti show, and then they moved the celebration elsewhere into stadium parking lots as well.
Philadelphia is going to descend upon New Orleans, and we'll be there to cheer our Eagles on.
If you're a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, you're not just there to sit on your tail. You've got a job to do when you're at that game, and that's to make noise.
Yeah, they made a lot of noise. The Kansas City Chiefs will look to become the first team to win 3 Super Bowls in a row. They'll play the Philadelphia Eagles in that game on February 9th in New Orleans, and you can catch all of the action over on Fox 50. The Kansas City Chiefs will look to become the first team to win 3 times in a row. They will play again February 9th for that big game, Renee.
I'll take it from here, Michelle. Thank you. A major rainstorm is hitting Los Angeles right now. It is happening as families return home after the devastating wildfires. People are being warned to be ready to evacuate again because the threat of flooding and mudslides is rising. Crews are building barriers around some of the hardest hit areas, shoring up slopes and reinforcing roads. There's also worry about toxic chemicals in the debris that could flow into nearby waterways or the ocean. 6:18, the time right now. Elizabeth Gardner is in our WRAL Severe Weather Center looking at rain coming to our area right now.
And we need it too. We're looking at drought situation out there. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But let's start with a big picture here. There's a lot of moisture associated with this, but the track of the low is going to be just to our south. We're going to see all of this moving by. We are seeing some rain in our southern counties, but we're not going to see this terribly widespread. One thing that we won't see is any frozen precipitation. Temperatures are in the upper 30s to low 40s and won't drop much more than where they are right now. We have some rain that's trying to push into the southern part of Wake County right now, but most of the rain that we've seen so far with this has been in our southern counties from Sanford down toward Pinehurst, Southern Pines, Fayetteville, Rayford, Sanford is where the rain has been for the most part. But again, it's kind of trying to sneak here into, say, Holly Springs and down around Fuquay Arena. We check out Futurecast, and Futurecast really keeps it there. It's possible that we would see some of that lifting a little bit farther north than Futurecast is showing. We have a version that shows it moving well to the north, and this one well to the south, maybe somewhere in the middle. Notice we still have a few isolated showers up through around lunchtime and into parts of the afternoon, and then it just moves on by. Very light amounts of rain. We're talking about, for the most part, 1/4 of an inch or less. So good for the drought. We need more than 1/4 of an inch of rain. But of course, this time of day, it could cause traffic delays. It doesn't look like we're going to see a lot of heavy rain, though, in the most heavily traveled parts of our viewing area. Our drought status, moderate drought across the entire viewing area. Just to our east, some pockets of severe drought. So we really do need the rain. We'll see some of it today. And then another chance Friday night into Saturday. We'll talk more about that as it gets a little bit closer. So another chance for some showers. Chapel Hill, Raleigh is looking dry. So is Apex, but Fayetteville definitely seeing some rain coming down right now. We have a warm up in our forecast. It'll be a cool, rainy day today with a high of 49, but almost 60 on Tuesday, 67 Wednesday, and then 60s on Friday and Saturday. But it also looks a little bit wet for us on Saturday. Of course, we're getting weary, I think, of winter. Of course, the Groundhog Day is Sunday, so that's always fun to see what the groundhog thinks.
The groundhog is back.
I know. How about that?
I appreciate that. Hey, we want to stay on top of this breaking news we've been following down there in Garner. This crash shutting down Highway 70 in both directions and involved one single vehicle. We'll have a live report coming up and widening out the view in terms of many of you who use Highway 70 to get into the capital city this morning. West Garner Road is your best bet. Getting over the Tryon Road and that get you back to 401. Depending on where you are in Garner, you just might want to use I-40 as an alternate route coming into the capital city this morning. In terms of other major routes coming into the capital city, all free and clear this morning as we head over to Durham. No delays whatsoever. So you're heading into the Bull City. You will get to your destination on time.
Ken, thanks. Protecting pets from bird flu. The FDA recommendations for pet food companies to help protect against an outbreak.
And remembering those who were killed today marks 80 years since the liberation of Auschwitz Nazi extermination camp. We will check in live on the remembrance events happening in Poland today.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl, so that means 2 more weeks of Taylor Swift.
Just one more game. Ken Smith here now with What's Trending. Ken.
The fans love it. They complain about it, but they love it. Swift showed up for yesterday's game wearing a $10,000 Louis Vuitton outfit. And of course, after the game, cameras caught her and boyfriend Travis Kelce sharing a kiss. You can see there, a little intimate moment between them.
Yes, they're still going strong. And, media outlets reporting these encounters, they're all detailed on that outfit, the monogram jacket, $5,000. The beanie was $550. So I guess the whole thing added up to $10,000. But hey, you're a billionaire.
I suppose that's.
And your man's going to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
What is she going to wear?
Dressing for success. Well, check this out. We're getting a closer look at the new Superman movie. The 30-second video including our first chance to see Dave Sweat as Superman in flight.
Ooh, if that isn't computer-generated imagery right there, which has people going crazy about this right now. Oh, he saves the girl, though. July 11th. We got a long way to wait, and a lot of these trailers to see, probably during the Super Bowl as well.
But how else do they think people make these movies?
Right.
It's with computer generated.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you want it to be a little more realistic.
Oh, come on, don't ruin it for them.
Do not, Ken, thanks. Tax season is here. The IRS says it'll start accepting and processing 2024 income tax returns today. The official deadline to file your return will be April 15th, but due to the devastation from Hurricanes Helene and Milton, all taxpayers in North Carolina have until May 1st to file their 2024 returns and pay any tax due. You can still file earlier and get your refund sooner.
A new documentary is shedding more light onto the personal life of the comedian who portrayed Pee Wee Herman. In the posthumously released documentary, Paul Reubens comes out as gay. He talks about how he concealed his private life as his character Pee Wee became more famous. He says he spent his whole adult life hiding behind the alter ego. The documentary, called Pee Wee as Himself, premiered at the Sundance Film Festival.
With breaking news we're following this morning, the major road in Garner that's closed because of downed utility poles there. And Ken, we'll be back after the break with what you need to know about getting around it.
And waking up to some showers, especially in the southern part of the viewing area. I'll show you who will be most affected during the morning commute.
And showing support, how people in a Raleigh community are honoring the victims of a shooting in their neighborhood.